to your kids. It's chilling. And those are the alleged words a North Dakota mom said to her husband before she allegedly barricaded herself inside her home and proceeded to kill her children.
It was 5:42 in the evening when officers pulled up to a quiet house in Mandan, North Dakota, and heard something no training ever fully prepares you for. Screaming, not outside, inside. They didn't knock. They forced the door. And what they found in the next 60 seconds would end 2 young lives, nearly take a third, and leave a small town asking the same question over and over. What happens to a mother that makes her do this to her own children? Her name was Kaylee Hehheart, 22 years old.
Hehheart reportedly locked herself inside the home with her 3 children and said that she was going to kill them. When officers arrived, they initially came in contact with the children's 22-year-old dad and the 43-year-old grandmother. I mean, this was an incredibly young couple. Police say the 2 of them, they were frantic in the front yard saying, quote, "She's in the residence."
A mom of 3. On paper, a normal young woman in a small North Dakota town. But paper doesn't tell you what was happening behind that front door in the weeks before August 6th. Kaylee and her husband had been together since they were teenagers. 3 kids in 4 years. A 3-year-old girl named Morgan. A 5-month-old named Ava. And a 1-year-old whose name police have kept out of the record. From the outside, it looked like a young family just trying to make it work. But investigators would later learn the marriage was already coming apart. Her husband had been unfaithful, and not quietly.
Killing herself as well as their children. He also advised that he had made plans to divorce Kaylee within the past couple of months. These plans included, quote, a separation. This involved the husband engaging in sexual activities with other women. He also advised
He'd told her about it. He'd started planning a separation. And according to what he later told police, Kaylee had been struggling with her mental health for over a year, struggling badly enough that she'd once been placed under care, medicated, and eventually cleared to be back with her kids.
That CPS was aware of the comments, but Kaylee had been on medication and cleared to be with the children, end quote.
Cleared. That word is going to matter a lot by the end of this video, because 2 days before the murders, Kaylee walked into a store in Bismarck and bought a Glock handgun.
Firearm from a store in Bismarck, more specifically a Glock brand handgun. And police said that text messages between the couple lead them to believe that the purchase was made just 2 days before the murders.
Not a knife, a firearm. Investigators found the text messages between her and her husband that pinned down the exact timing. 2 days. That's the gap between the purchase and the moment police broke down that door. So here's claim number 1 her husband gave investigators. He said he didn't know she'd actually use it. He said the gun was just fear, just a bad moment, nothing that pointed to what was coming. Except that's not what the video showed, because he had one recorded on his own phone in the middle of everything falling apart. He caught footage of Kaylee holding their 5-month-old daughter in one arm and a pistol in the other, barrel down at her hip. And on that recording, she says 4 words that would end up defining this entire case. Say goodbye to your kids.
That during the incident, Kaylee had been threatening him with a firearm. The husband advised that he had collected video on his cell phone and he was able to show officers the videos. This included a video showing Kaylee carrying a child believed to be 5-month-old Ava with a pistol pointed at her hip, pointed to the ground. The husband told police that Kaylee then said, quote, "Say goodbye to..."
That's not a rumor. That's not a secondhand account. That's Kaylee on camera, holding her own infant, threatening to kill her children before she ever touched a knife. So claim number 2 collapses right there. If this was just panic, just a mental breakdown with no clear thought behind it, why does the evidence show a woman calm enough to make a direct threat, on camera with a weapon in her hand? Her husband said he managed to wrestle the gun away from her. He disassembled it and scattered the pieces through the house, so she couldn't reload it. Police later found scratches and bite marks on him. Injuries, they say, came from that struggle.
To your kids. The husband advised that he was able to get the firearm from Kaylee, disassemble the handgun, and throw the pieces throughout the house. He then said that Kaylee then locked him out of the house. The husband also told police that while he was wrestling Earhart,
he said once he got the gun, Kaylee locked him out of the house. That's claim number 3, and it's the one that should stop you cold. If the husband is telling the truth, and the physical evidence on his body backs him up, that means when he took away her first weapon, Kaylee didn't stop. She found something else. The grandmother, who was also on scene, told police that Kaylee chased both her and the father out of the house with a kitchen knife.
During the incident, another witness. Police interviewed her as well. Quote, the grandmother told a detective that while in the residence, Kaylee had chased both her and the children's father out of the residence with a knife. The grandmother stated that this forced both of them out of the residence due to the
Kaylee herself, in her own interview with police, admitted to remembering that part. She remembered chasing them out, which brings us to the moment officers finally broke through that door. They found Kaylee standing in the living room, a kitchen knife pressed to her own throat.
Now, here's what the probable cause affidavit says happened next. Quote, a patrol officer entered the residence to find the children's mother, Kaylee Hehheart, holding a knife to her throat. Kaylee was covered in blood across her upper body and pants. Kaylee dropped the knife and ordered officers to.
She was covered in blood from her chest down to her pants. When she saw the officers, she didn't run. She dropped the knife and told them to kill her. They didn't. They detained her without further injury. And that's when they found the bedroom.
Laying motionless on a bed in a bedroom directly off of the living room across from the front door. The children were covered in blood. The patrol officer noted that the blood was mainly concentrated near the neck area of all 3 children. According to police, 2 of the children, 3-year-old Morgan Hehheart and 5-month-old Ava Hehheart, succumbed to their injuries at the hospital. Allegedly,
3 children on a bed just off the living room, all under the age of 4, all covered in blood concentrated around their necks. Morgan, 3 years old, and Ava, 5 months old, were pronounced dead at the hospital. The 1-year-old survived emergency surgery. A doctor later noted a defensive wound on Morgan's wrist, a detail that tells you she may have tried to fight back.
Surgery and survived. Police said they observed injuries on all of the children indicative of their throats being slit. A doctor also informed police that Morgan had a laceration on her wrist, which could have been a defensive wound. Now, this type of crime is unimaginable, especially.
Now here's where the case gets even harder to process. When police interviewed Kaylee, she waived her Miranda rights and agreed to talk. She told them she believed she was alone in the house when it happened. She said she believed the children's throats had already been cut before she moved their bodies onto the bed. She said she remembered holding the knife when police arrived, but she claimed she didn't remember everything.
I want to read this part here, which is when Kaylee Hehheart spoke to police. She allegedly said this, quote, Kaylee advised the sergeant that she had placed the bodies of the 3 children on the bed inside the residence, and she believed she was the only one inside the residence when this happened. Kaylee advised that she believed the children's throats had been cut prior to her placing the kids on the bed. Kaylee further advised that she remembered having the knife in her hands when police arrived, though she did not remember everything that happened. So it seems like there's a mental health component.
That's claim number 4, and it's the one prosecutors will fight hardest over, because a jury is going to have to decide if partial memory loss erases responsibility, or if it's simply what happens after committing something the mind can't process. Kaylee Hehheart is now charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of terrorizing with a weapon, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and domestic violence. If convicted on the murder charges, she faces life without parole.
After interviewing all of the parties involved, officers decided to charge Kaylee Hehheart with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of terrorizing with a dangerous weapon, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and a misdemeanor count of domestic violence. Now, based on the murder charges alone, Hehheart faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole. So where does the legal process now stand? So Hehheart is currently being held in the
She's being held on a $3 million bond, with a preliminary hearing in October and a trial date set for February 2027. Investigators say the video, the purchase records, the grandmother's account, and Kaylee's own statements all point toward the same conclusion, that this wasn't a single moment of collapse, but a series of decisions building towards something the people around her saw coming and couldn't stop in time. Mental illness may explain a lot about what led to that night.
Accountability and justice. If you knew what you're doing, if you're making threats, and this woman, by all accounts, was under a lot of pressure at this time. She had 3 young children. She had one of the children that she killed is under the age of 1. She was going through marital challenges where the husband was leaving her. We know that. So that's a lot of pressure on anyone, especially a 22-year-old young woman. But she's also walking around. She purchased a gun. She's walking around with one of the children in her arms, threatening the husband, saying she's going to kill him. This is before the act. There is a little bit of clarity of thought here, because once he disassembled the gun, she went and sought another weapon. So why I think mental health needs to be, from my perspective, taken into account and considered, obviously so. I think we can't use that as an excuse either. I've sat in the room on too many